Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the world of web tracking. We're going to pull back the curtain to see who's watching you online and, more importantly, what it all means for your digital privacy.
You know that feeling, right? You're talking to a friend about, needing new hiking boots, and then bam, an ad for those exact boots pops up in your social media feed just a few moments later. It's so specific, it's kind of creepy. So what's going on? Is your phone literally listening to everything you say?
Well, the truth is actually even stranger than that. You are not imagining it. This is just the reality of modern web tracking. And to really get our heads around how this all works, we're using a fantastic report from Virtualization Options LLC as our guide. They're a technology research and advisory group based out of Colorado, and they've done the homework on this.
Okay, so let's get into it. Section 1, the web that watches. Here's where we'll start to unpack how this whole system really operates.
So at its most basic level, web tracking is just what it sounds like. It's the process of monitoring your activity online. But, it's not just the one website you're visiting. It's this huge, invisible network of data brokers and ad tech companies all working behind the scenes, collecting your clicks, your scrolls, everything, all to build this incredibly detailed profile of you.
Now, most of us have heard of cookies, right? Those little text files that websites stick on your computer. For years, the advice was just clear your cookies. But honestly, that's kind of old school. The game has totally changed. We've moved on to something way more sophisticated and, frankly, snakier, called fingerprinting. And the scary part? It doesn't need to leave anything on your computer to track you.
And that brings us right into our second section, your digital fingerprint. Let's dig into the nuts and bolts of how this powerful tracking method actually works.
So browser fingerprinting, this is what makes this new era of tracking so effective. Instead of leaving behind a cookie that you can just find and delete, it creates this persistent digital ID of you. It does this by just looking at all the unique properties of your device. It allows trackers to pick you out of a digital crowd no matter where you go on the web. Think of it like a detective building a profile on a suspect. You can see the toolkit right here. Trackers start with the obvious stuff, your device, your operating system, your screen size. Then they get more specific. What browser version are you using? What language is it set to? What fonts do you have installed? And then it gets really granular. They analyze these tiny, unique quirks and how your graphics card draws an image, or even the subtle, unique sound profile of your audio hardware. Any one of those things isn't that special, but when you put them all together, it creates a portrait so unique it can only be you.
And this is really the heart of the issue. The Virtualization Options report puts it perfectly. This technique allows for tracking that is way more persistent and comprehensive. And here's the kicker. It works even if you clear your cookies or use incognito mode. Yeah, that private browsing window, it won't save you here. Your digital fingerprint is still perfectly visible.
So why? Why go to all this trouble? Well, in Section 3, we're looking at the high price of free and the very powerful reasons behind all this tracking. It really all comes down to the data economy. I mean, sure, it starts with targeted ads. That's the obvious one. But it goes so much deeper. This data gets used for market research, for developing new products. But really, the ultimate goal here is to create a valuable user profile that can then be bought and sold. Your attention, your data, that is the product. And when you look at the major threats to our privacy, this chart is pretty telling. Yeah, persistent tracking is the biggest slice of the pie at 40%. But look what's right behind it at 35%, profiling and manipulation. This shows you the goal isn't just to watch you, it's to use what they learn to actively influence you. And that, right there, is the true endgame. This goes way beyond just selling you a pair of shoes. The goal is to build a psychological profile of you that's so detailed, it can be used to predict what you'll do next, influence the decisions you make, and even manipulate your choices, often without you even realizing it's happening. Okay, so I know this all sounds pretty bleak. It's easy to feel powerless, but you're not. And that's what our final section is all about, taking back your privacy. Let's look at some real, actionable steps. This chart gives us a good look at our options for protection. You've got regulations, which are moderately effective. Then there's technology, which gives us some really powerful tools and rates pretty high. But notice what's labeled as essential? Awareness. Just understanding what's happening is the absolute foundation for protecting yourself. And we have seen some important laws come out. Things like GDPR in Europe
That's the General Data Protection Regulation, and the CCPA, the California Consumer Privacy Act. They're good. They give us some rights over our data. But the problem is technology just moves so much faster than lawmaking. It leaves these huge loopholes wide open for trackers to just waltz right through.
So let's talk about that tech toolkit. Privacy-focused browsers, like Brave or a configured Firefox, are great. They block most trackers and fingerprinting attempts. The catch? Some websites might not work quite right. A VPN is absolutely crucial for hiding your IP address and your location, but, and this is a big but, it does not stop fingerprinting by itself. And then you have browser extensions. They can block ads and scripts, but you have to be careful because some of them can have their own privacy risks. As you can tell, there's no single silver bullet here.
So, what do? The best strategy is a layered defense. First, start using those privacy-focused tools we just talked about. Second, get a little skeptical about free services. Always ask yourself, if I'm not paying with money, what am I paying with? Hint, it's your data. Third, vote with your wallet and support companies that are actually transparent about this stuff. And finally, just keep educating yourself and talk about it. Spreading awareness is maybe the most powerful tool we have for pushing back.
At the end of the day, this isn't about, destroying the internet economy. It's about demanding a better one. A web that's more transparent and more ethical has to find a new balance. A balance where business needs don't just automatically trample our fundamental right to privacy.
And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. In our super-connected world, is privacy still a fundamental right we all have, or is it slowly turning into a premium feature, something available only to those who can afford to buy it? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.